Hello, I'm Deirdre Hade and welcome. I am a mystic, and in our series, we are exploring the heart, the healing of the heart, the wonder of the heart, and today, how to create heart-centered relationships. Whether it's a relationship with the one you love, the person you're living with, your partner, or a new relationship of love, or perhaps it's a love with a parent, a child, or a friendship. Love is love, and love is a necessity to having a happy life. When we have love in our life, we're happy. It's really pretty simple, but getting love, understanding love, and maintaining love, that's the conundrum. Like, how do we really do that? So first I would like to just share some wisdom that I learned when I was an actress. I studied with an amazing coach named Roy London. He was a coach to many of your favorite movie stars and celebrities in Hollywood. He was an exciting man, and he was really a life coach. I learned so much from him just about life. So what he said is that every scene that one does in acting is either a power scene or a love scene. And what he meant by that was that each character was trying to get something from the other character. So some scenes, it was a power scene, whereas a character was trying to have power over another character. As in, he said, acting is like tennis. You're like exchanging energy, and you're dancing with what the scene is and what the subconscious underlying message of the scene that's beneath the words. So that was a power scene. So we would say, okay, is this a power scene or a love scene? Well, a love scene would be two people trying to get love from each other. And they may do it in a really messy way. Like you might say, pass me the salt shaker. And you might say it like really angry, pass me that salt shaker. Or you might say, please pass me that salt shaker. But in those words, as mundane as they sound, the character is asking for love, is wanting, is needing love, is needing something from the other person. And that's what makes a dynamic scene. When we watch a movie or a Netflix series and we see a riveting scene, we may not even remember what they say. It's like, what's happening here? So that's a love scene. Roy became ill, and his life ended very tragically, very early, and quite suddenly. But right before he passed away, when he was teaching his last really great classes, master classes, he said, this is the last thing I remember him saying. He said, I've changed my mind. All scenes are love scenes. All scenes are love scenes, even power scenes. If you can find the love in a power scene, you're brilliant. That's what he left us with. So with that, let's translate that to life, because acting is life. Life is acting. It really is, all the world's a stage, as Shakespeare says. So when we go to create heartfelt relationships, the first thing you want to remember is that every scene is a love scene. So think about that in your life. What if every encounter with the person that you want to have this heartfelt relationship with, what if every single encounter, the stakes were so high that every scene was a love scene? How would you ask for something? What would you say? And if you were upset, and you may have very good reason to be upset, it's not to not say when you've been wronged, but if you want love from someone, you don't want to drive them away. You want to bring them closer. So even if something happened that you were upset about, if you can say it, see it, say it in such a way that it's, but I want this person to love me, you will be able to say whatever it is that you need to say. We talked last week about rebuke, holy rebuke, and in love relationships, we sometimes have to say, hey, that hurt, or that, wow, did you really mean that? But when you come from love, that you want love from someone, as opposed to coming from being in your ego and saying, oh, I want power over this person, I want to win the scene, I want to win, you will be able to create heart-centered relationships. Because relationships are just that. It takes two. Of course, we have our relationship with ourselves. That is the most important, to be clear and have a good relationship with ourselves. But then we have a relationship, what's called an intimate relationship. Not all relationships are intimate. Intimate relationships are the people we live with, the people in our family, the people that we're close to. And when we're close to somebody, when we're intimate with somebody, guess what happens? Well, there's a great story from the Kabbalah that says as soon as someone gets married, the beast shows up on the door. And what that means is that as soon as love happens, the force of, in the world, whatever force you want to call it, of separation, will try to come in and break up that union. I don't know about you, but have you ever noticed that when you get really, really close to someone you love, then something happens to break it apart? I mean, all great movie scripts are built on this premise, right? And then they get together at the end and we all clap. At least that's American movies. We have the happy endings. But there is an energy of the Yetzer Hara, or this energy of confusion that's natural in our state. And this energy will show itself, will come up in the times when we are the closest with those we love. Really watch your life and you'll be able to clock a pattern and see how true this really is. So your second key is to be watchful and to know that this little gremlin is going to show up, because this little gremlin is going to show up. There's no way around it. I wish there was. And when this little gremlin shows up, you want to see it for what it is. So you want to be in the silent watcher. For those of you who watch my 6 simple keys, the silent watcher is the first embodiment of having a spiritual practice. The ability to always have an eye that's watching, observing what's going on, what your feelings are, how your ego's processing it, where's your heart. And when you're in your silent watcher, you will be able to see the negativity before it erupts. So at least on your side, you don't have to play into the hands of that ego, no matter how little, whether it's a little gremlin or a giant monster. But just know that in any love, heart-centered relationship, that energy is going to show up. So it doesn't mean that the relationship should end. It doesn't mean the relationship's the wrong relationship. What it really means is you are with somebody that you have an opportunity to experience true intimacy or true oneness. Whether it is your partner, a love interest, or even a family member or a friend. When those ruptures happen like that big, step back and know, wow, on the other side of this is a deeper love. On the other side of this is a love that is so healing and so nurturing and so life affirming. And that's what I want. Now, tragically, sometimes we can't get beyond that. If we're with someone who doesn't want to play in that field of consciousness, if we're someone who says, I'm going to listen to this negativity, to this, I'm just going to go for it, I'm going to get angry, and no matter what you do, they can't get past this. So what do we do with that? Because that's a real life situation, isn't it? We've all been through it, and it's deeply painful. Well, there's a couple of tools you can use to get through that little bit of an impasse, or a big piece of impasse. The first one is from your silent watcher. Do your very best, you won't be perfect, but do your very best to separate the person you love's actions from the person you love. They actually are separate. There's a person you love that your soul says, I just love this person so much, and when I'm with, oh, my soul is so happy, but now, oh my gosh, they're what's this behavior? Why are they acting like this? That person is lost. That person doesn't know what love is. That person is struggling. Their soul is struggling. It doesn't mean that you put up with that behavior. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but it will help you to maintain a heart-centered relationship, because that's what this is about. A heart-centered relationship for you. We cannot control what anybody else feels as much as we would like to, and we can't control what anyone else does. But we can have a say over our own experience of this human reality. So we want to see this person, this is a soul, I love this soul, and this behavior, okay, I don't love that behavior. That behavior is way not fun. But I'm going to stay connected to that person's soul. Now, what happens mystically or energetically when you do that is you actually give that person a power, a spiritual power, to be able to wrestle their demon and hopefully bring their demon to a halt, to silence that demon or that negativity, to be able to put it in line, so to speak. But when you identify with the behavior, the bad behavior, and you start reacting and going into the behavior, all of a sudden your love relationship becomes a power relationship. It becomes a power struggle. And what I see tragically in the thousands of people I've worked with and the couples I've worked with, whenever there's a problem, the relationship has become a power struggle. Somebody has to be right. Somebody has to win. Where'd the love go? Now, love is underneath that, because unfortunately, the ego mind has convinced us that power is love. Now, look at the world, right? The power is ruling the roost right now. So we are confused. We think power is love. Power is not love. Power is power. And power on its own is very, very destructive. So if you're in a power struggle with someone, the best thing that you love and you want to maintain that heartfelt relationship, the best thing you can do is first withdraw from the conflict. Just withdraw. Just say, this is not this is not good for my heart and it's not good for your heart. I'm going to withdraw myself until we can get some clarity here. And you just withdraw yourself. That way you've ended the power struggle, because it takes two people to have a power struggle. So when you remove yourself, the game comes to an end. The tennis match is over. And you take a moment. And then you come back. And you always speak from yourself and speak from your heart. And when you speak, you want to identify, I love you, you're great, you're special, and I heard this, and wow, that really hurt. And I know that you love me and you don't want to hurt me. So that's the third thing. And it's kind of a little, I don't want to say it's a trick, but it really does work. You always want to affirm the love someone else has for you. I can't tell you how many relationships that there's this love that comes to an end because both people keep affirming, you don't love me. You don't really love me. You don't love me until, okay, right. You're right, I don't. But when you affirm what you know, you're not putting words in their mouth. You're just simply affirming what you know you've experienced. So that when they're struggling to find love, you can help them find their way back to how they do feel. Because obviously at some point, there was great love or some love between you. So you want to affirm the positive. I know that you really love me and I know you don't want to hurt me. And this is how I felt. Let's get back to center. Let's get back to the love. These are just a few pointers, like just a beginning, but they are very profound and they really will maintain a heart-centered relationship for you. One, to begin to observe your relationships as a love relationship and watch yourself from the silent watcher, that it's not getting into a power struggle. Oh, I'm right, oh, I'm right, or I'm right, I'm right. I mean, a little is fine, but if it gets too intense, you're going to have a rupture of the relationship. The next tool is that when there is a disturbance, that you separate the behavior from the person you love and you stay connected to the person that you love. Because by staying connected to their heart and their soul, you give them strength, spiritual strength to overcome that demon or that negativity that they have fallen into. And that goes for yourself too. You observe yourself and you love yourself. And oh, look at this behavior I've done. I need to take a deep breath, take a walk, do something to get myself back into center. Then the next step is that once you have done that, come back to the relationship and spend some time together not talking, just being silent. Remember I said when you leave a heated situation, the game's over, the power struggle's over because it takes two. Well, it takes two to have love between people, that deep connection. The soul knows love and the heart knows love. It's the mouth, right, that gets in the way sometimes. So have a practice of just spending time together without speaking, without talking. A few examples. With my family, my children, we'll do this practice. We've come to the other side. People are kind of raw. I'll say, hey, let's bake a cake. Let's make a pie. Let's work with some clay. And I don't talk. I'm just being. Just dropping into presence. And the presence loves mundane, simple cooking, gardening, even washing dishes, that saying, chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. Master, how do I become enlightened? Oh, chop wood, carry water. So do that. Create something that you can just be together, or if it's a partner. So I'll give an example from my marriage, which is a fairly new marriage. So there's going to be a lot of new things coming up. Afterwards, say, okay, honey, let's take hands and just look at each other, and let's just be in love and not speak. And invariably, when we do this incredible presence of love drops in. That's our oversoul coming down, the beloved and the beloved going, yay, they finally got out of the way so we can be here. And we both usually start crying because there's so much love. Even with a parent. I know with my parents, it was sometimes a raucous relationship. We had a lot of mental illness in my family, which creates a lot of drama. And I guess that's where I really learned how to love someone, but not and separate them from the behavior, because when you're living with someone who's mentally ill, you know when the mental illness is taken over, and the person you loved that was that person yesterday is now going through that. And you can't sustain a relationship unless you can separate it and breathe through the difficulties. So I learned this through a lifetime of being in my family. And when everything would kind of come back to center, and by the way, loving someone with a mental illness, loving their soul while they're going through that period of their demons, gives them the power to heal, gives them the power to come back. It's magical how that happens, and it really, really does. Because I've seen it, and I've seen it happen to the people I've worked with over the years. So then with my parents, I would be like, oh, let's, come on, Dad, let's go take a walk. And we wouldn't talk. We would be in silence. And some of those times of walking with my father down Cypress Drive in Memphis, Tennessee, under the magnolias and the evergreen trees, and just holding hands in silence, are the most cherished times I have of us together, the deepest times. And that's gold. That's worth everything in the world, to have those moments of true love, of heart. So I hope that this has helped illuminate and given you some practical tools, as well as understanding about maintaining love. And I'm going to be following this up with a meditation to maintain love and heartfelt relationships. So thank you very much.